live with Tao. Surrender is non-temporal, it is beyond time. Surrender is non-temporal, it is beyond time. If you surrender this very moment, you are out of time. And when it is said, I say, surrender, you are not surrendering to any person or situation or anything. You are not searching for it, not seeking, you are not greedy for it. You have no mind at all, whether it happens or does not happen. Both situations are same to you. Surrender means Tao. Tao is surrender. And Tao means nature, your nature. So this name, this word Tao, refers to each one of you. The moment you start living in your nature, essential nature, Swabhav. Swa means self, Bhav means feeling. What is your essential nature? Then you are living in Tao. Then you are not. Both Tantra and Yoga are techniques, and through them, certainly you will reach to your nature or Swabhav. But that will be a long process. Ultimately, after every technique, you will have to surrender. But with technique, surrender comes in the end. You start the technique first. As an outcome, surrender comes to you. With Tao, in Tao, it comes in the beginning. Surrender comes and then you begin to live your life. If you surrender right now, this very moment, you do not need any technique. But if you cannot, and if you ask how to surrender, then a technique will be needed. So rarely, one in millions and millions of persons, one can surrender without asking how. If you ask how, you are not the right type who can surrender, because how means you are looking for a technique, and surrender can happen through a technique, but at the end. But if you begin with surrender to your essential nature, you have to know what is your essential nature. The essential nature of everyone is bliss and harmony. Bliss, harmony, oneness, these are the name for the same phenomenon. Once you surrender to this, you do not need any technique. These techniques are for those who cannot get rid of the word how. These techniques are just to get rid of your basic anxiety about how to do it. Then a technique is given to you. If you can surrender without asking, then no technique is needed for you. Your very way of living in Tao, in your essential nature, in your Subhav, is surrender. If you can surrender without asking, then no technique is needed. But then you will not have to come to me. You could have surrendered any time, because surrender needs no one. You are surrendering to your own essential nature. A teacher can teach only techniques. When you seek, you are seeking a technique. And every technique, every seeking is a seeking for a technique. When you go to someone and ask, really you are asking for a technique, a method. Otherwise, there is no need to go anywhere. Wherever you are, you can surrender that very moment. The very search shows that you have a deep need for a technique. These techniques are for you. Not that without technique it cannot happen. It can happen. But it has happened to very few persons, very few countable. And those few persons are also really not rare. It is a continuation of the soul's journey from one life to another. In their past lives, they have been struggling with techniques, and they have struggled so much with techniques. Now they are fed up. They are bored. A saturation point comes when you have asked again and again this word how. How? And ultimately the word falls. And then you can surrender. In every way, a technique is needed. A Krishnamurti, he can say no technique is needed, but this is not his first life, and he could not have said this in the past lives. Even in this very life, many techniques were given to him by lead beater and any besant, and he worked on them. You can come to a point only through a technique where surrender becomes natural and spontaneous. You can throw all techniques and simply be, but that too is through the process of technique, a system. It is against Tao. You are against Tao, your essential nature. You have to be deconditioned, and that is what my effort is, to decondition you. If you are in Tao, then no technique is needed. If you are healthy, do you need any medicine? Every medicine is against health. But so when you are healthy, you do not need the medicine. But if you are ill, sick, medicine is needed. This medicine will kill or destroy the germs or the bacteria that is causing the illness. It cannot give you health. When the symptoms or the parasites or the bacteria causing this particular problem are no more, then something is born out of you, that is health. But if the illness or sickness is not removed, you need a technique. But if illness is removed, health happens to you on its own. No medicine can give you health. Basically, every medicine is a poison, but you have gathered some poison in you by way of the bacteria or parasite that you need an antidote. It will balance and health is possible. Technique is not going to give you any divinity in the same way. Just as no medicine can give you health, it can simply remove the symptoms that is causing that particular illness in you. And when those symptoms are removed, automatically, naturally, the health happens to you. So technique is given to you because of the spiritual illness that you are in. And the moment that illness or those symptoms vanish, divinity happens to you. All that you have gathered around your nature will destroy with this technique. So when a particular technique is given to you or asked to do, it is simply to remove all the dust that you have gathered around your essential nature. You are not natural, you are not spontaneous, you are not flowing. It will only, the technique will only decondition you. You are conditioned because of, and this conditioning, because of many reasons, is the divine sickness that you are suffering with. Otherwise, there is no need. Your essential nature is bliss, harmony, and oneness. But because of the conditioning that you have gathered around your consciousness, that has to be deconditioned. You are conditioned, and right now you cannot take a jump into surrender totally, because that is your nature. If you can take it, it is good, but you cannot take it. Your conditioning will ask you how. Then a technique will be helpful. When one lives in Tao, then no yoga, no tantra, no religion is needed. No animal follows tantra or yoga or goes to the temple or churches or anything, because every animal is living in its own essential nature. But man is not living in his nature, in his swabhav. So then for him the technique is needed. One is perfectly healthy. One who is perfectly healthy, no medicine is needed for that person. Perfectly healthy means living in Tao, living with Tao, living in your essential nature. Every religion, every technique is medicinal. When the world lives in total Tao, religions will disappear. No teacher, no Buddha, no Jesus will be needed then, because everyone will be Buddha or Jesus. But right now, as you are, you need a technique. These techniques are antidote to remove the conditioning in you. You have gathered around yourself such a complex mind that whatsoever is said and is given to you, you will complicate it. You will make it so complex that you will make it very difficult to follow. If I say to you, surrender, you will immediately ask how. Surrender means living in your essential nature. What is your essential nature? To be blissful every finite moment, to be in harmony. But how can you be blissful if I say that? Whatsoever I say, you want to know how to live in harmony with everyone, with both within and without each moment. If I say use this technique, you will ask techniques are not techniques against Tao. Indeed, each technique is against Tao. If I say no technique is needed, simply surrender and God will happen to you. You will immediately ask how, because the mind is there. That is why in Hindu, the Sanatan Sanskriti, the name of a word is very significant. There is a word known as Indra. Indra is the king of heavens. And the word Indra comes from Indriya, the sense organs. And sense organs, you have sense organs. But who is the head of the sense organ is your mind. You are, so mind is the sixth sense organ. It is the Indriya. It is the head of the sense organs. So it is the king. And it needs, each sense organ needs a fuel. It works with a fuel. Eyes need a fuel, image. The ears need a fuel, which is sound. The hands need a fuel, which is touch. So on and so forth. Then, the moment someone starts, it is said according to Hindu scriptures, whenever any sage or saint or mystic is meditating or going into deep austerity, the throne of Indra gets shaken. He feels afraid that I will be losing my significance. So he sends the beautiful woman, Menka. It comes from again that which of the mind. So it controls your mind. It wavers your mind. It affects that your mind which is conditioning. So Menka conditions your mind. That particular apsara. That is what in Islam it is called Hur. And then if your heart needs to be controlled, then Urvashi is sent. Ur means heart and Vash means control. The technique or the person that controls your heart, Urvashi. So Indra, the sense organ, sends a beautiful person in the name of Urvashi to control your heart. So you are completely captivated by the beauty of this particular woman. So you are infatuated by her beauty and presence and the music and dance, all that she does around you. So this is how the whole mechanism goes on. If you are living in your essential nature, you are not bothered about sense organs. You are not conditioned in any way. And as I said, you have gathered so much complex mind around yourself because of the conditionings from the time you were born. And you are living with that conditions. So then a technique is to be given. If I say Tao is right, here and now, you need not practice anything. You simply take a jump and surrender. Again you will say how. From time to time I keep on telling you that. The child feels hungry. When he feels hungry, but the mother says, it is not the feed time. Mother says it is not the feed time according to the child. According to the doctor. So, hungry, child goes to sleep. And then when he is sleeping in deep sleep, in restful state, it is the time for the child's feed. So you wake him up and disturb his sleep to give him the feed. This is what we are doing it. When you need the milk or nourishment at any level, you do not do it. You do not eat when you feel hungry. You do not sleep when sleep is coming to you naturally. Living in Tao means, that is what Buddha says, when somebody asks, what do you do after enlightenment? Lao Tse said, other Zen masters said, I sleep when I sleep. I wake up when I wake up. I eat when I eat. Means when there is a hunger, you eat. When there is sleep is gathering around you, engulfing you from all sides, you sleep. But no, it is not the time. When there is need for sex, there is a desire to go into that. You do not want to do it because it is not the right time, or it is not the time to do it now. So you gather a complex mind around you because of conditioning and all these things. If you are, remember, if I give you a technique to answer your question of how, your mind will say, but it is not a method, a technique, a way against Subhava nature. Indeed, each technique is against the nature, but because of your conditioning, you have to be given a technique. If divinity is my nature, then how can it be achieved through a technique? But for you, because of your conditioning, divinity is not your nature anymore. It is there, but it is hidden under the deep layers of conditionings. Then the technique If it is your nature is there, you are aware, then the technique will become futile, useless. Why waste time with the technique? Look at this mind. I remember once it happened to a man, a father and a young girl asked the composer, the name of the composer was Leopold Godowsky, to come to his house and give an audition to his daughter. She was learning piano music. Godowsky came to their home. Patiently he heard the girl playing. When the girl finished, the father beamed and he cried in happiness and asked Godowsky, "Isn't she wonderful?" Godowsky is reported to have said, "She is wonderful. She has an amazing technique. I have never heard anyone play such simple piece with such a great difficulty. She has an amazing technique, playing such simple piece with such great difficulty. I have never seen anyone do before. Playing a simple technique with a great difficulty." Surrender is a very simple play, but for you it is difficult. This is what goes on happening in the mind. Even a simple thing, you have made it complicated. You will make difficult for yourself. And this is the way of defense. This is a defense measure, because when you create difficulty, you need not do it, because first the problem must be solved and then you can do it. If I say surrender and you ask how, unless I answer your how, can you surrender? If I give you a technique, your mind immediately creates a new problem. Why the technique? The nature is there, the essential nature. Swabhav is there, Tao is there, God is within. So why this endeavor, why this effort? Unless this is answered, there is no need to do anything. So when God is within you, it is your essential nature, bliss is your nature. But you are not aware of it, you are not living in it because of the conditioning, because of complexity of your mind. So you have to be given technique. The moment technique is given, you say, why technique? Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you. So what can I do? Remember, you can go on in a vicious circle, and this is what it is happening. Go on a vicious circle continuously forever and ever, lives and lives past. You will have to break it somewhere and come out of it. It is a spiral, like the whirlpool. There are certain places in the water where the water starts circling. This is known as, the word used in Hindi is bhavar, where the water keeps on circling, and it is very difficult to come out of that on the surface, but deep down there is no movement of the water. It is still. So you have to dive below the surface and then swim to reach out of that. That is the only technique to come out of the bhavar. And this is why it is said life is a cycle, bhavar, and bhavar jal. Jal means a web of whirling. And what did Jalaluddin Rumi did? He used this whirling as a technique, and he keep on whirling, and all of a sudden, while continuously whirling, he fell down. And fell down means he came out of the world. Whirling ceased. And the moment that happened, enlightenment happened to Jalaluddin Rumi. So whirling is not a performance, but we keep on, the performers are there, they belonging to Jalaluddin Rumi, they do whirling as a performance. There are groups who are doing the performance. So this is, Jalaluddin used that technique of whirling, which is a problem for anybody to come out of that. But he used that problem to go so deep to the in the process of whirling that he came out of that, he fell down. If you go below the surface where the water is whirling, maybe 1 feet, 2 feet, 3 feet, you have to dive below where the water is whirling. And the moment it happens and you swim through, you come out of that state. Remember, you can go on in a vicious circle forever and ever, and lives after lives have passed, but it has not happened. What Jalaluddin Rumi did, he broke somewhere the process of whirling which happened spontaneously. Jalal continued whirl for 35 hours. People will go, have rest, eat food, and come back to see Jalal whirling. 35 hours continuously he whirled, and then as he fell down, he became enlightened. You are whirling in your mind. Continue whirling, and then all of a sudden one day you fall out of this whirling. You realize the futility. Jalal's body got so tired that he could not whirl anymore, and he fell down. So unless you are tired of your searching, going life after life, moving in circles, you have to break this somewhere and come out of it. Be decisive, because only with decision is your humanity is born. You have to decide that enough is enough. I am not going into this whirling of changing the partners, nothing. What did I gain by remaining on the surface? I have to go deep within. No more. Then your humanity is born. Only with decision do you become human. Be decisive. If you can surrender, surrender. If you cannot surrender, then do not create philosophical problems, then use some technique to come out. Whether you are using a technique or you are naturally surrendering, surrender will happen to you. You can do surrender without technique. As I said, with technique, surrender comes at the end. You can make surrender the beginning. Then you do not need to practice any technique. You are just living naturally, spontaneously, with total freedom. And with freedom comes trust. That's why I said freedom and trust are two pillars of love. Love is God, as Jesus said. God is love, Jesus said. And love is godly. But for that you need freedom. You need trust. These are the 2 feet. You cannot walk with 1 feet, that is hopping. And you are crippled. Both are necessary to move into the realm of love. Then surrender has happened already. You have freedom, you have trust. And both support one another. With freedom, trust comes in. With trust, freedom comes in. It's 2 sides of the same coin. Whether you are looking from the side of freedom or from the side of trust, the other happens. In both ways, surrender will happen. If you can surrender right now, it is okay. If you cannot surrender, then pass through the technique. That training is needed. It is needed because of you, not because of your nature, not because of Tao. Tao needs no training. It is needed because of you. And the techniques will destroy you. You will die through the technique. When I say you, means conditioning. You are not natural and spontaneous. You are a conditioned being. It is needed because of you. And the technique will destroy this conditioning, your false identity. We are all living in our identities, egocentric identities. So technique will destroy your egocentric identities. You will die through techniques, and the innermost nature will evolve out of that. You have to be shattered completely. If you can shatter, it is a jump, surrender. If you cannot, then piecemeal through the technique. Work on it. Work on it. Enough for now. Until tomorrow, take care.